Yeah, I think without a doubt, the Global Development Initiative has been most successful. It is the oldest of the three. It was launched in September 2021. Um, and it's been very smartly implemented, I would argue. I think the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has led the implementation of this initiative. They've got about 70 countries that have joined what is called a group of friends of GDI at the UN. Under that group of friends, there was a first batch of 50 projects that was announced. Several of those have been completed. So these are, like I said, say vaccine provision in a certain country, building of health training in a certain country, trying to ensure that you provide building of a school, providing of books and things like that, right? So much low cost projects. Many of these are implemented with say the UN agencies. So the UNDP is a partner in a number of these. Chinese, the SIDCA, which is the Chinese Development Agency, is also the lead in this. And right now, I think the GDI project pool, a couple of weeks ago, there was a report put out on the GDI by the Chinese government. The project pool for GDI is now at about 200. So it's expanding. And of course, you've got a bunch of countries that have committed to joining a group under GDI, right? Group of friends. This is not the case with GSI or GCI, right? In those, I think Beijing itself is quite cautious about not trying to form a group under GSI particular, because then it seems like you're mirroring what you're criticizing, camp security-based camp formation. So therefore, GSI is much more amorphous and largely been around rhetoric pushing back, American participation or participation with the United States in terms of security. But other aspects have been sort of clubbed under GSI to demonstrate that it's been successful. So the agreement between Iran and Saudi Arabia was hailed as a success of GSI. The fact is that conversation between Iran and Saudi Arabia far predates any discussion of GSI. It's just that China was a last-minute entrant in that conversation, and it was the Saudis who actually proposed that the Chinese get involved for their own purposes, right? So it was not like it was Chinese proactiveness. The fact that the Chinese took the bait and ran with it is a sign of Chinese proactiveness, but it is not a sign that because GSI was announced, China was proactively going to try and resolve disputes around the world. I don't think it's going to do that. I don't think it's interested in sending its security forces to keep the peace unilaterally in other parts of the world. So therefore, I think GSI is still fairly immature. There's lots that needs to happen, and it is likely to remain amorphous. GCI is interesting because I think elements of it will remain, will be sort of, you will have joint declarations on and joint agreements on. So for example, just today, in fact, there was a report of the China-Arab Political Parties Dialogue, which ended with an agreement on GCI. I'm still not clear what that agreement is, but I presume it sort of is agreeing on certain basic values that, hey, look, there should be no external interference in our internal governance. We should be allowed to interpret certain values based on our traditional culture and based on our national conditions. And in that sense, GCI is good. So GCI to me, again, will parts of it will be common declarations. And this is not new. In 2017, there was a South-South dialogue on human rights that was held in Beijing that led to a Beijing Declaration on Human Rights, which supported the idea that, look, human rights are not universal. They are universal, but they are also particular. So nobody can be telling you that there is a certain universal definition of human rights. You can interpret them the way you want to. So these are the kinds of sort of value frameworks that I think GCI will try to build on. So it will remain amorphous to some degree, but you will see a bunch of activities around values, around youth cooperation, around education, around sports, around television, news, entertainment, and say around restoration of archaeological sites and things like that, right? So I think GCI encompasses all of these. So therefore, some of it will be concrete agreements, but some of it will remain amorphous in terms of a value discourse.